This NASCAR 2025 Championship Group Bets edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITH.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome to a new week. We are 1 week closer to race cars on the track. Cody, can you believe it? It's a NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Lots to get to today, but I mean, it has to be said, Cody, that we are that much closer to the
I can hardly contain my excitement. Rod, 1 week from today, 7 days from today, assuming that we have all the odds that we should have, it will be the Clash Picks betting episode. We'll be making picks, making bets for a race that will be coming up on that weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series. We are almost there. We've almost made it.
It doesn't feel real. In fact, I mean, I've been sitting in this seat for how long, and it just does not feel real until we start talking racing things and actual betting things that pertain to what we're going to watch next week rather than what we're going to watch 7 months from now, which is what we're doing today. But listen, this is what we're doing
over the course of 7 months, right? It's all good. But yeah, no, we really are almost there. It's only 26 days till the Daytona 500, and next week is the Clash at Bowman Gray. So we've almost arrived, and it's been long but short off season at the same time, right? There's been points of it where you're sitting in your house today and it's minus 4,000 degrees outside in most of the country, except where Rod lives. But boy, it's been, we're almost there, Rod.
Hey, listen, you didn't see me earlier today where I was bundled up with my puffy jacket on, my robe on, my blankets over, because 37 is cold, my friend. Just kidding.
You meant to say negative 37, right? Oh no, that was the wind chill here, so it's all good.
Not Northern California, I guarantee you that right now. All right, like we said, plenty to get to. We're going to be talking championship groups today, where Caesars has given us A through H, I think, and so we got a lot of groups to get through, but lots of great stuff to cover, plus some news. But before I do any of that, I want to tell you that in honor of the big game, which, by the way, there is a big game coming up, if you didn't know, a couple weeks from now, Super Bowl taking place. From now until the 9th of February, you're going to get 15% off of everything in our SGPN merch store. Now is the perfect time to buy yourself those mugs, those hoodies, those sweats, whatever, the travel bags. I have a travel bag. I love using that thing all over the place. It is perfect size for me to just go on an overnighter. I can pack all my stuff in there. It says SGPN on it, so everybody knows that I'm a DGen. Gotta love repping it outside of it. So if you want to get in on all that right now, go to the store and use our promo code BIGGAME, all one word, BIGGAME. Of course, like I said, love me that bag. Love me my sweats too, by the way. Those things are comfy as all get out. So have some fun in there. Use the promo code BIGGAME to buy your stuff. What's your favorite piece of merch that you've gotten so far? Because you got a ton.
I do have a ton. It is hard to pick a favorite piece. I have a pretty comfortable hoodie. The Racing Gambling Podcast. It's got the helmet and it says Gambling Podcast. That's pretty comfy. I do have a pair of the sweats. The sweats are Very nice to lounge around. If I wore pants when we recorded the show, Rod, I would probably have the sweats on now. Luckily, you can't tell, so maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Sorry, I had to.
It's the best part of Zoom meetings, bro. This is why in the military they very rarely want you to do it by this, because people just have the tops on.
That's. I mean, yeah, who knows what's going on underneath of these cameras, right?
Stand up, soldier. I'd rather not, Sergeant.
You don't want me to do that, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant. I'm going to go ahead and just stay seated right here, if you don't mind. Thank you. All right. Speaking of staying seated, we can't stay seated for very long. Look, before we get to any of the news, because there's a couple of pieces of news. Hats off to Kyle Larson, who is driving on the walls, driving on other cars, and still ends up winning the Chili Bowl this weekend, which sparks controversy every time it happens, because who's the best driver in the world? It's Kyle Larson.
Yeah, it is Kyle Larson, Rod. But yeah, he got it done again. It was a great race. It was if you were lucky enough to be around, Flow Racing had issues. If you don't have Flow Racing, they had put everything on YouTube, so you got to see the main event on YouTube, which was a really good, fun race. And yeah, Kyle Larson is a pretty fucking good race car driver, Rob. If you didn't.
I mean, you beat everybody out like that. I mean, Bell, Busch, all these guys tried, and it was Kyle Larson that brought it home. In fact, I don't even know, was there even another? I don't think there was another NASCAR driver inside of the top 10 at the end of that race.
Yeah, I felt like Bell maybe finished 7th or so. I can't remember. Bell, I think, was the only other NASCAR driver who made the main event at the end of everything.
Yeah.
For all the stuff. Kyle got eliminated earlier. Ty, all the other guys that were there, Ricky Stenhouse, they didn't quite make it that far. But yeah, Larson started on the pole and had to work for it for sure. It was not easy for him, but great race on his part. And yeah, once again, he gets it done. He's got 4, 5, 6 wins already this season, and it's only the beginning. Well, middle of January. So.
I feel like Brexton could have beaten his dad in this particular race. So,
well, those guys were all they had pretty good showings too for the junior events that were there. Brexton and Larson, a couple other, I think Cash Boyer maybe was in that. So yeah, we're already starting to see the next generation of stars, Rob.
Oof, man, I can't wait for that to play out in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series here in a few years. So those are going to be some pretty big duels. All right, a couple other pieces of news, Cody. What did you want to hit on real quick?
Yeah, the number 50 car is going to make an entry over into the Clash at Bowman Gray, Rod, which is sort of interesting. That's that formerly the Floyd Mayweather team. I don't even remember what number or name there. Amerivet is the name that they're going by now. So yeah, they're going to enter it with 12-time Bowman Gray champion and 2-time NASCAR modified champion Burt Myers is going to drive that car. We see a couple of these guys getting opportunities. Going to be a guy in the Rick Ware stuff that's won a ton there. Also, good to see opportunities for these guys. This 50 car has not been much of a car in the past when we've seen it. Maybe they've changed some stuff. Who knows? But it's good to see these guys. They get a chance to say, "Hey, I got to mix it up." A track where he's great. That many championships, obviously, you don't just walk into that. And he gets to go out there and mix it up with the likes of a Kyle Larson and all of these other current Cup Series guys.
It just makes the sport better and more fun to watch when you know that these local guys get to chop it up. I mean, is he going to make a gigantic splash? I don't know. I mean, who knows, right? Short track racing, it's almost anything goes. All right, I'm just saying. Listen, screw you. I want to be the optimist in this situation.
Hey, the guy in the Rick Ware car, look, Justin Haley, really good at the Clash at the LA Coliseum a couple of years ago. Was potentially even going to win that race at a time. So maybe he'll have an opportunity. The 50 car, it's going to be hard to trust anything coming out of that camp, but who knows? Speaking of the Clash,
there's enough glass half empty folks in this world. Let me be the glass half full.
All
right.
I'll let you take that on today's show.
Good luck to the 50 car. Speaking of the Clash, format's been revealed.
Yeah.
If you want to dig into that, just go yourself.
Yeah, we'll save this for next week. Probably on this show next week, we're going to dive into it, go through the whole thing as we lay out our bets and all that. So yeah, but go over to Bob Parker's Twitter, Jordan Bianchi, any of those guys. NASCAR.com even, they've got the format posted if you want to see that. Quick summary, 23 drivers, 200 laps. That's going to be the main feature. That'll be the race that counts. That's going to be the race we're going to be betting on.
And NASCAR does not have to build a track inside of a stadium for this particular one. The track's already there, so there's no need to actually recreate the wheel. It's already right there for you. So, all right, is there anything else we needed to touch on real quick?
I think that was really it. Kind of a slower week. We're getting pretty close to the season now. Not a ton more news to come out. A lot of sponsorship stuff coming out. That's good to see. These teams kind of finalizing partnerships and whatnot, but nothing crazy.
All right, beautiful stuff. So, all right, then I think it's, I really feel like it's time to actually start digging into these groups because as Cody and I were just talking about beforehand, we're into this one. So, all right, let's do that. But before we do, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about DraftKings. We're talking playoffs. Playoffs? That's right. We're talking playoffs. It's the NFL playoffs. I know it's not NASCAR playoffs, but it's the NFL playoffs. But you can get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Are you ready to place your first bet? I don't have to ask. Of course you are. Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook's app and make your pick. Look, I know that the big game is coming up, and I know everybody's all excited about the NFL, but get excited about the predecessor to football, and that is rugby. The Premiership is happening this weekend, round 11 in the Premiership. Look, I'm looking at Northampton and Harlequins. If you want to take advantage of some of these actions, go have some fun, watch other sports, introduce yourself to some fun stuff. Northampton Harlequins are out there, and they're at plus 4.5 and minus 4.5. So much to bet on. Bath against the Sally Sharks, Newcastle Falcons against Bristol. You will thank yourself later by introducing yourself to fun rugby. Plus, if you're a new DraftKings customer, you can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bet.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I wonder at what point the world will follow me down these rabbit holes. I don't know, but I would like to think that someday the world.
I think people are starting to follow you down that rabbit hole, Rod.
I hope so. Have you ever really watched I watched when I was a kid, and now here I am as an adult, like actually paying attention to it. And boy, these guys, dude, it's so much more. It's so much more fluid than football. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's less of these stupid penalties. There's less. Did Mahomes get hit in the helmet? Like, it doesn't matter. These guys slam into each other at full speed, and play continues. Like, whatever.
There's a lot of good stuff out there, Rod. It is a lot of fun to continue to dig into more of these obscure leagues and obscure sports.
Like Justin sent us today with whatever this German marble train going. I want all of that. Nick Fortune checking in saying, good evening, Hot Rod and Sassy Cody. Rod, when is your interview for Brawny? I am not the quick picker-upper, my friend. I make messes.
I saw that comment and I'm thinking Brawny. I didn't know if I was missing something. Then I looked at you and I realized you do look like the Brawny man. So yes, shout out to Nick for pulling that out. Cause I was trying to think like, did I miss like his Brawny code for something? Is that like some person that I don't know about and because, first thing that pops in your mind is the paper towel people. And then I was like, oh yeah, Rod looks like the paper towel guy.
Listen. I've been already accused of being the Blues Clues guy, and now I'm the Brawny guy. So, make up your mind, folks. Pick a guy and let me.
Well, you're just such a character, Rod. I just show up and, here I am. So.
Well, if you look at my IMDb page, most of it's all stereotypes. So that's fun of that.
Rod has played some very stereotypical Mexicans in the commercials before.
Mexican bartender. I'm a Mexican surgeon. There's some sort of
vineyard worker.
Yeah.
He's everything.
They're like, hey, call that guy up. That guy that could do the things that Mexicans could do. Call him up. Like, all right, fine, I'm here. All right. Before we go down too far down that rabbit hole, we're here to talk groups. Let's start breaking down some of these groups that we've got for the championship. Now, again, you can find these at Caesars under the NASCAR Series Championship bets. They're not in the speakeasy. They're straight up in there, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Groups A through H, though, Cody, they've given us quite a bit to chew on.
Yeah, they sure have. And these, again, are through, at least the ones here posted on Caesars, they're through the end of the playoffs, so it'll be scored at the end of the playoffs. Just a quick reminder, if you don't make the Final Four and you're in the playoffs, everybody in the playoffs that's not in the Final Four are racing for 5th to 16th. So even if you get eliminated in the round of 16, you're still eligible to finish all the way up to 5th. So just because, say 2 guys don't make the playoffs, 1 guy gets eliminated in the round of 16 and your guy makes it to the round of 12, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's automatically beaten that guy, just as a quick reminder.
Yeah, and that's a really good reminder, too, because a lot of these folks, if you bet on it and you think it's through the end of the regular season, you get there, you think you're cashing your ticket, and you're like, oh, no, we still got a ton of races to go for this to cash. So thank you for that reminder. All right, Cody, Group H, my friend. I know that people like to throw around terms like shitbox special or something to that effect, but I would like to just say that this is not necessarily that. It's just not the.
I would only consider one of these guys to be in a shitbox, Rod.
I don't know exactly which one you're thinking of, but here's the thing. This is Group H entails Eric Jones at plus 220, Noah Gragson at plus 220, Cole Custer at plus 250, and the without even a ride.
Do we have different Group H's?
I don't know. Do we? What do you got for Group H?
My Group H is Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, and Todd Gilliland.
That's I don't even have that group. My Group G consists of a couple of those folks. Are you on? You're on. What state are you on?
I'm in New Jersey.
Well, guess what? We didn't, and so am I. Your Group H is what? Read it off again.
It's Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, and Todd Gilliland.
That's your Group H.
I'm pretty sure I'm in, unless I'm in New Jersey.
Oh my God. I don't even have that group.
Are you looking at the Daytona 500 or the championship?
Oh, hey, guess what, guys? You know how when there's a million tests, I had it clicked.
This is a good reminder.
Yes.
To make sure you're in the right section.
Public
and
service
you are and you're actually trying to bet on what you're trying to bet on. So yeah, make sure if you're trying to get to the future section, you go to this future section and not the Daytona 500 section. We'll have the Daytona 500 group talk here soon, Rod, but don't jump the gun too much. Let's talk about the championship before we get to the race.
Welcome to Rod's first and last episode of the NASCAR.
All right, so let's just go back and start this over.
All right, fine.
We'll cut that part out of the show. Okay, ready and go.
If you're live, you didn't know. I'm just kidding. I don't ever cut anything out. This is what makes us.
We're live on YouTube too, so it's kind of too late. Anyway.
Right, the YouTube crowd's like, the hell you didn't just mess that up. All right, fine. Group H.
TK saying it happens to the best of us, obviously, because Rod is the best of us, and it happens to him.
Stop. All right, fine. It's Ryan Preece. Let's start this again. Ryan Preece at 120, Zane Smith at plus 230, Josh Berry at plus 340, Todd Gilliland, our cover boy, at plus 450. Look at, here's the thing. Okay, I put Todd up there because first of all, he doesn't get a lot of love on the thumbnails, and I never really use them, so I figured it was a good time to use it. But it's intriguing, Cody, because out of this group, I know Ryan Preece is the favorite, but is there a case to be made for a guy like Todd Gilliland in this?
100%. How do you? I mean, my question more so is, how do you not bet Todd Gilliland if you want to bet on this group? So you go through and you look. Ryan Preece, if you did not hear on the Dale Jr. Download, they had another episode with the one that's hosted by Dale's sister, Kelly, Business and Motorsport, I think is what they call it. She had Brad Keselowski on this week. Holy shit. I thought I was excited for RFK before I heard that interview, Rod. I'm all fucking in now. They are racing for championships. Brad knows what the fuck he's doing. I was so psyched. I was betting on Brad while I'm listening to the show. Absolutely great. Make sure you go listen to it. But I'm pretty excited for what they're doing over there at RFK. So Ryan Preece, you got him there. But there's a lot of question marks there. I definitely would not feel comfortable with him at plus 120. Zane Smith. We saw a lot from Zane Smith last year as a rookie, sort of all throughout the season, especially not all throughout the season, right? Early in the season, we didn't see it, but we saw it click late. things went well for him. But don't ask Rod, don't ask Ty GIbbs fans about sophomore slumps. Rod will tell you they happen. Maybe Zane falls into that. He's also switching rides. He's going over. You know what's crazy about this, Rod, is he's going over to the third Front Row Motorsports ride. He's going to be in the 38, formerly Todd Gilliland's ride. And yet he's at half the price of Todd Gilliland, who's in the number one ride for that team, which is interesting. Josh Berry, this was the one I was alluding to that I thought was in the shitbox. I don't have faith in that 21 car. And if you've listened to the show, I've not had a lot of faith in Berry really ever. And I don't have it in that 21 car until I see something from Berry. So I'm just out on the Berry train. If I'm wrong, fine. But until I'm proven wrong, I really haven't been yet, if we're going to be completely honest. Todd Gilliland at plus 450, moving over the Michael McDowell car, 40 or 34 car rather, plus 450 in this group. I mean, I would say these guys are all pretty equal. Again, I would put less weight on the Berry part of things, but I would say they're all pretty close, and you're getting Gilliland all the way up plus 450. This is a no question you bet him because of the value that you're getting. Not only that, I mean, how is he not the favorite in this group, or at least why is he such an underdog, I guess is the better question.
Well, okay. A couple of different things. First and foremost, King 601 tuning in from snowy South Mississippi. Yes.
So King, I don't know if you know this. When I was in the military, I was stationed down in Gulfport, Mississippi, lived there for a while. My friends that still live down there have been posting pictures on Facebook today. They've gotten more snow in South Mississippi on the Gulf of, we still call it the Gulf of Mexico? I don't know. That's the subject. On the Gulf there, Rod, in Mississippi. And like they've got more snow than we have here in Nebraska now. It's crazy.
If you start to hear me say snowy Stockton, then you know for 1,000% that we're in just the last days.
Shit's going crazy here lately.
Pray. All right, listen, just to bring this back to where we're at, if I were to tell you that one of these drivers did finish in front of every other driver in this group last season, would you believe me if I told you that it was Todd Gilliland? Because Todd Gilliland finished in 22nd place in the standings, which, by the way, one spot higher than Michael McDowell in the 34. Ryan Preece finished in 26th. Josh Berry finished in 27th. Zane Smith finished in 30th. Now you're putting Todd Gilliland in the 34 car, right? And I'm not saying that he's going to instantly jump into the top 15, but I can see a top 20. These other guys, Ryan Preece, yeah, okay, we have expectations for RFK. Cody's got major expectations for RFK, but it's going to take a little bit for him to crack the top 20. And
it's as major as they are for Brad and Chris, they're a lot more reserved for Ryan Preece. I'm not holding him in. Clearly the books aren't either putting him in this group. They're not, holding him to the level of expectation of those guys. So, and this could be as simple as, which one of these guys happens to win a super speedway race or something crazy, makes the playoffs. They're going to be the one that wins, because likely all four of these guys won't be in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, how does Gilliland, why is his number so much bigger than the other guys? I think that it is truly a misprice, or, I mean, this is, sometimes people make remarks like, do they even watch the games when they set some lines on stuff? It's like, did you pay any attention to what's going on? Because why is Gilliland twice the price of Zane Smith on the same team, in the better car, the more established guy? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I think there's a little clear disrespect for Todd Gilliland in this instance. And plus 450 is just great to take at this, because this is such a great price for something that happened last season. I mean, and look, when you look at the other guys, Preece, Smith, and Berry, they were all in SHR equipment, which is supposed to be superior to Front Row. So, I mean, I know it was the last season of SHR, but I don't care. Like, it's supposed to be better.
You know what is funny? All of these guys are in different rides this year. I mean, Gilliland, same team, but they've all changed rides from where they were. Sort of interesting. And King checking in too, saying he thinks that Gragson will be better on a weekly basis than Gilliland. You might not be wrong. I think maybe the books don't. I don't think the books know what to do with Gragson. And I don't know that he's in any of these groups, actually. And I think that there's a reason for that, because they don't really know. But I think talent-wise, Gragson has more and has been a better prospect all along than Gilliland. How long that takes to click and start to kind of come into focus. Is that technically kind of the third team they've added? Yes-ish. We'll have to see how that kind of pans out. But yeah, I really love Gilliland in this group, and I actually might need to go bet this because he just shouldn't be that much more of a, if he was a plus 120, maybe I wouldn't be so heavy on him, but him being that big of a number, it shouldn't be that way.
I did not think this morning on my bingo card, it didn't have me waking up defending vehemently Todd Gilliland in a group, but here we are.
We love us some Todd Gilliland, Rod.
Sure as hell do. All right, let's look. I want to go commercial free for the rest of it, so let's knock this out, and then we'll get back to the rest of these groups as we've got several to choose from. So let's do that. But first, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. Underdog's always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. You want NFL, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, esports, so much more. You can also use specials and boosts on all of your flexed entries. All right. We all saw Saquon Barkley go absolutely nuts last week. We get it. We understand. He's a generational talent, blah, blah, blah. Fill in the blanks. Underdog has his rushing number set at 132.5 rushing yards. I get it, but I'm just not going to bite. I'm not going to take the bait. I'm going lower than 132. Can he get 100? Sure. Can he get 120? Probably. But look, these Commanders have been playing like mad lately, and I know Saquon's fantastic, but come on, man. 132, give me the lower than. That's almost a gimme right there. Lower than 132.5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley. Sorry, Sean. I know I'm going to get my pink slip here in a second, but I'm still taking the lower than. Sign up with our promo code. In the meantime, race SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code race SGPN.
He did go higher than both games against Washington. Just want to point that out, Rod.
I understand that, but you watch tape. Like this Washington team, they're in the playoffs now. This is a different world. Unless it's snowing in Philly. I don't know. Then we're in a different world.
Which I don't know. I haven't looked at the forecast yet. I haven't got that far yet.
Ugh, whatever. Okay, Group H is done. Let's move on to Group G in the championships. All right, let's do that. This group consists of
this. By the way, just minor details, but this should be Group H because it's all the Hendrick cars. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't understand. Whatever, but it is all the Hendrick cars. It's Larson, Byron, Elliott, Bowman. Larson, the favorite, obviously plus 115. Byron plus 170. Elliott plus 320. Bowman limping along at a nice little 10-1 on this one. But
I think that the numbers here kind of really paint a true picture, right? These you got the three Hendrick cars, and then Bowman's a good bit behind them. It's not super realistic that Bowman's going to be able to beat all three of his teammates in the standings. That's why he's 10-1. I think that, in my opinion, you can kind of just cross him out because, we saw the 4 or 5 win season he had a couple years ago. Yeah, the pressure he had a great season this last year. He's always going to get you a lot of top 10s. He's going to be in the top 10 at the end of the day. Is he a championship 4 type of driver? Man, he's going to have to really show us that he's got it, and I just haven't seen that yet from him. So I'm going to cross him out. Now you've got the 3 Hendrick cars, right? I think that they're ordered appropriately. Larson, we just talked about it, greatest driver in the world, should be at the top, but that doesn't mean he's going to win the championship, Rod, because we've seen he hasn't won it the last couple of years. He hasn't won since 2021. That was his only win. Byron plus 170. I think he's actually got the better of these guys the last couple of seasons, at least last year for sure, because he was in the Final Four plus 170. Elliott at 320, I think, is appropriate also. If I'm going to bet on one of these, it's Chase Elliott at plus 320. I've been very high on him in the offseason. I've placed a couple of championship bets on him already. When we get to our official picks for the season, he's certainly going to be in there coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But I think that these 3 guys are all fairly equal. Again, I think they're weighted appropriately here, but it could go to any of these guys any given season. Why not take the guy at plus 320? If it was Byron there, I would take him. If it was Larson there, obviously you would take him at that price. But Elliott, very capable of beating these 2 guys. Again, I think you're getting good value from Chase Elliott here in Group G.
Finishing positions from last year: William Byron in 3rd, Kyle Larson in 6th, Chase Elliott in 7th, Alex Bowman, a gentleman's 9th in the standings. So, I mean, you're right. They're weighted properly because with the exception of William Byron, and William Byron's not even that much of a steal over Kyle Larson. So look,
I'd rather have Larson at 115 than Byron at 170. If you got Byron at 3-1, okay, yeah. But you're pretty close to the same price. Like, I would rather just have Larson, but doubling up their numbers, getting to Elliott, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a case of just pick your favorite, honestly, because all of these guys obviously have the opportunity to do it. So
and you're not wrong to bet if you think that just take the favorite in Kyle Larson. Like, you're not wrong because, well, he's the greatest driver in the world, right? He should have a lot of wins. He should get there. But we know how these playoffs can be. You know, if this was a season long again, it go, just old Winston Cup point standings. Maybe it's a different story. Although you might have more of a case for Elliott because he's so consistent there. But we've seen Elliott be able to get hot, make the Final Four. He's been there multiple times. He's won the championship before also. So plus 320, I think that he is the play of the Hendrick Group G.
Yeah, no. Group GH. No, I'm with you on that one. Again, because it's just a matter of us being able to find the best value in it. So.
Not to look too far ahead, Rod, but I think that GIbbs starts with G. What are we doing here? We dropped the ball. My goodness.
Well, this is Group F for everybody telling me F you about Ty GIbbs, because this is actually the GIbbs group. Yeah, this should be G, Group G, but it's not. It's Group F, and it is the GIbbs group. It's Bell, Hamlin, GIbbs, and Briscoe. Bell priced at plus 150, Hamlin plus 160, GIbbs plus 550, Briscoe plus 550. First and foremost, may I say, how disrespectful is it to Ty GIbbs that he is in this ride for the third year now, and he is priced the same as a guy who's joining the club late?
Well, yes, but Briscoe's still somewhat of a veteran at this point. He's made a Final Four before, something GIbbs hasn't done. He's getting into the 19 car. I don't think that it's disrespectful to Ty. So, looking at this, Bell at a plus 115, the obvious favorite here. I think it's much more obvious that he should be the favorite than even Larson in that group, just because of where we're at with GIbbs drivers. Honestly, I think you could make a pretty solid argument to bet any of these guys. I think Christopher Bell, if you want to take him at plus 115, he really truly should be the best of the four. He's been really strong, been really good in the playoffs. He made the playoffs not this past season, but the two previous seasons. You could argue he should have made it this season if not for the Chevy blockade, right? So there with chances, all of that. So should be the big favorite. Hamlin at plus 160. I personally think there's too many question marks above Hamlin's head right now. Now, granted, he is a newly minted Ohio State fan, and now he says he's a champion because Ohio State won. So maybe that gets the monkey off his back, Rod. Unlikely. New crew chief. I don't know. I'm still out on Hamlin. But that being said, how many times have we seen him in the Final Four? How many times have we seen him win a ton of races and be there in the mix? Plus 160, you could make the case. Is this Ty GIbbs breakout season? I sure fucking hope so. Plus 550, you can make the case for it, right? Maybe he gets there. Maybe Bell probably has a better regular season. That's really the expectation from, I believe, everyone. But sputters in the playoffs. Don't forget Talladega's in the round of 8. That can happen. And maybe GIbbs sneaks into the Final Four. These other guys don't. I think that's a possibility. And for Briscoe, short, flat guy, the playoffs are loaded with short flats. If things can click by the end of the season at plus 550, I really think that you could argue any of these guys, bet any of these guys, and not really go wrong. I think they're all priced pretty much appropriately, maybe less so on the Denny Hamlin part of things. Personally, I think you just take Bell at plus 115 and ride with. He really should be the class of the field for GIbbs. I might throw a little heart play on Ty there, plus 550, and hope that this really truly is the breakout season.
Well, I would never fault anybody for throwing any part of a unit at Ty GIbbs because obviously I'm done with the sophomore slump. So we're good. Ty fans, we're good. Okay.
Rod breaks out his brawny paper towel and wipes away the Ty GIbbs hate. It is no more. It's
gone. There's no more. You can all like me again because I'm back on the Ty GIbbs train. But look, I will say to you this. With Christopher Bell, I'm honestly surprised that he's at a plus number because when you look at the last few years with Christopher Bell, like I said, making the Final Four, being so consistent, even last year it was Christopher Bell that finished higher than the rest of it. Denny Hamlin came. So Christopher Bell, 5th. Denny Hamlin finished in 8th. Martin Truex finished in 10th. And then you got to go all the way down to 15th for Ty GIbbs. Now Chase Briscoe did end up finishing one spot above Ty GIbbs. So if you're kind of counting into that. But the thing of it is that for Christopher Bell to still be at plus money and even at plus 115 to a fact where you can kind of double up and then some on your money, it kind of feels to me like that's a better proposition than trying to. And then, of course, like you said, sprinkle a little something on Ty just for the living hell of it. But I do think Christopher Bell's going to get it done again next year.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity with both Gibbs and Briscoe being plus 550. It's big enough that you can make your normal bet on Bell and then grab an insurance play on one of those guys. And then you've got 2 of the 4. Now you only have to beat 2 other guys. You like having that. TK checking in. The books tend to downplay drivers that have yet to win or didn't win a race last season. Agreed with that. And then King also mentioning, as we've brought up a couple times this offseason, Larson, Byron, others got their first Cup win in year 3. That's where Gibbs is. Right around that 100 race mark, which Gibbs is almost 2. That's where a bulk of, great drivers in this sport begin to get those wins. I think that's where he's going to get that first, second, third, maybe wins this season, Rod. It's going to be a good season for Gibbs for sure. It's just, the question is, can he beat all 3 of his teammates? That's what's yet to. He can, absolutely. I know that he can. Is this a season that starts? We'll see.
So look, Ty fans, you get until he starts to prove me wrong in that. So if he starts to go south, I'm back on the junior slump again. So, all right, now we start to mix things up. This is where we get a little dicey in Group E. This is Group Everybody. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell.
They labeled it appropriately. Thank you.
See, look at that. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson at plus 210, Christopher Bell at plus 220, William Byron at plus 290, Ryan Blaney at plus 290. I mean, This was a tough one.
You got a 4-sided coin over there, Rod?
I only have heads and tails. I mean, actually, in fact, I have heads and heads because I like to win a lot of bets. So.
Yeah. Which driver do you want to bet on?
So for me, look, if we look at it this way, right, the highest one out of that one, obviously, is Ryan Blaney as he finishes as the runner-up in last year's standings, then William Byron, then Christopher Bell, then Kyle Larson. So the question you have to ask yourself, especially since all these numbers are so very, very close, the question you have to ask yourself is who's going to win the championship out of this?
Yeah. You can't go wrong. All 4 of these guys are expected to be in the championship 4. Probably at least 2 of them will be. You could have all 4 of them there potentially. Ryan Blaney for a little bit more money, man, he's been so consistent, so good. He continues to get there. When he does get to Phoenix, he's really fucking good at Phoenix. I like that. Larson, plus 210, should be the favorite, is the favorite. Boy, it's just any time you bet on Larson, you're just waiting for something to go wrong. And he's so talented that sometimes it bites him in the ass. And sometimes they over-execute and overdrives because he's got so much talent. We don't always see it work out for him. He's obviously, again, not won the championship the last couple of years. Blaney's been there, continues to get it done. But Bell's been there. We just talked about him. And Byron continues to find a way to get it done too. So, again, if you're a fan of one of these guys, go bet him to win this group but at the same time, maybe you just bet them to win the championship because there's other people who could win the championship, sure. And you only have to beat these 3 guys. But, boy, these are 3 guys that really should be there at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, we already established that Ryan Blaney, odd year Ryan Blaney. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. He won in 2023, finished second. Like, he's been 1-2. So you legit have to either beat him in the championship or have him finish, or win the championship to win this group, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like Penske's won 3 championships in a row. They've won 4 of the last 5. As much as it's the Hendrick and Gibbs show, it's been the Penske show at the end of the year, which is when these bets cash. So, I think if you were forcing me to pick one, Ryan Blaney, plus you're getting a little bit longer odds at plus 290, sure. That's probably the one that I'm going to bet because I trust that he's going to be in the Final 4, really freaking close to it. I like that.
I didn't necessarily expect myself to just jump in on Ryan Blaney now, but I think here we are, January 21st, 2025, I feel like all my chips are going to be in because now the more I look at his body of work,
do they not be?
Yeah, I can't not.
Like he's quiet guy and not super flashy, but we are so close to him being the back-to-back champion over the last 2 seasons. He had the fastest car 3 seasons ago when Joey won the other championship. I mean, he's there. He's at that level. And Penske has shown, especially, week to week, I don't know that you can stack Penske up against Hendrick and Gibbs. I do think that Hendrick and Gibbs week to week are the class of the field. And Brian's going to have his spots and Joey has his spots too. But season long, at the end of the day, when it matters, playoff time, Brian Blaney is going to be there.
And that beard. That glorious beard. I'm jealous of you. I'm jealous of Ryan Blaney of having those glorious
Mine
beards.
Isn't Blaney level, but
yeah. Well, no, I don't know about that. It's pretty damn glorious. If you're not watching on YouTube, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you should watch for that glorious beard alone. But look, my daughter's gonna be happy that I'm jumping on the Ryan Blaney train this year. That'll be fantastic. So, all right. I think we're both keen on Ryan Blaney and Group Everybody over on Caesars. All right. Now we start to get into the larger groups. Group D consists of young Kyle Busch at plus 120, young Ross Chastain at plus 145, grandfather Shane Van Gisbergen at 5-1, Daniel, he's typecasted Suarez at 10-1, and Austin Dillon at 16-1. Cody,
this is an interesting group.
Did they just pick names out of a hat to put in this group? Because I don't know that this got rhyme or reason to.
So I think, Rod, we built a Gibbs group. We built a Hendrick group. RCR Trackhouse, they're close. Let's toss them in together in a big pool. Here you go. This is what you have.
All right. So what do we make out of this pool other than a cesspool?
So I don't really know what I make out of this pool because you can make a pretty strong argument for Kyle Busch. Sure, it seemed like the wheels just fell off last year. It seemed like nothing went his way. But we're a couple inches away at Talladega, or at Atlanta, rather, and the entire story changes. He's into the playoffs. Things are completely different. He's about to win at Kansas in the fall, gets caught up in the air for Chase Briscoe, goes around, doesn't get that, and he loses the streak. 19 seasons in a row, all of this stuff, and it just seems like everything went so bad, but we weren't very far away from a good season from Kyle Busch. So that's why I think they've got him. I wish they were maybe sleeping on him a little more, but they're not. He's the favorite. Chastain, same thing, right? It was just the season wasn't quite what it had been previously, but we've seen him make it to the Final Four before. We've seen him win the championship race. He wasn't in the Final Four that year, of course, but win the race 2 seasons ago. So we know that both of these guys very capable. Busch, obviously a 2-time champion, 3 wins just 2 seasons ago. Don't forget about that. These guys at the top of the board, I think, makes sense. SVG, the big wild card here, right? 5-1. He's going to win, 6, 7, 8 races in the regular season? Oh, sorry. He's not going to do that. But
I almost muted the mic because I was like, no way. That's bad info. Fake news.
Okay, maybe not. But he's going to be a true threat at Chicago. He's going to be a true threat at Mexico. That could vault him into the playoffs. Part of this, how many of these guys made the playoffs last year, Rod? Kyle, no. Ross, no. Shane, no. Daniel did because he won at Atlanta, right?
Yep.
And Austin didn't. So that could be the question. So, Shane, you're going to give him credit for 1 win in the regular season, right? Where it comes, probably Mexico. Maybe it's Mexico and Chicago. But he's probably going to get in the playoffs. So, but you think Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain are both going to be held out again? I don't think that's likely. Once Shane does get in the playoffs, what happens, right? We've got the Roval, sure. Talladega is a bit of a wild card in the round of 8. Crazy stuff could happen. Only 5-1 though. He's a rookie in the Cup Series. We've talked about this 100,000 times. It doesn't matter how talented they are. Guys like Ty GIbbs, it's different. And I know he's not a traditional rookie. I think he's going to get a win or 2 maybe. But the final season standings, there's going to be a learning curve on the ovals, the regular ovals. He's going to be good at the shorter tracks, yes, but I'm not sold. Suarez, again, I'm never really in on Suarez.
Hang tight. Here's a quiz for you. Who finished higher in this group of the full-time drivers? Obviously, we're leaving Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, last year was Suarez because he was in the playoffs. So by that logic, 10-1. There you go, right? And he's won the last couple of seasons. He won at Atlanta, won at Sonoma 2 years ago. So 10-1, I could see the case for it for sure. Austin Dillon is sort of an interesting case because you could argue that he could also win somewhere. I think all of these guys are capable of winning. They're all Cup Series winners. They've all won in the Cup Series. So they could all make the playoffs. So if you want to take that argument, just bet bet Suarez and Dillon and pray for chaos for the rest. I don't know. Like I want to bet Kyle Busch because I believe in Kyle Busch. I've got a lot of faith in him. I'm pretty high on him this year. But at only plus 120, man, I don't know. And especially with Chastain, like if Chastain wasn't in this group, I think I would feel better about Busch. Chastain definitely scares me. SVG, I don't want to undersell him too much because we know what he's capable of. But at only 5-1, I think you just go Kyle Busch here and pray for it. But I don't really love betting anybody in this group, honestly.
Yeah, this group is sort of a leave alone to me, but I will say this, right? In the 3 Trackhouse seasons, or not 3 Trackhouse seasons, but in the last 3 seasons for Daniel Suarez, he has actually been a 12th place driver. Unfortunately, he was not a top 10 driver in the year before in 2023, 19th, but 12th place, 19th, and 10th in those last 3 seasons. So, I mean, we're talking top 15.
So at 10-1, 12th and 10th, 2 of the last 3 seasons,
all
that's a somewhat compelling case to bet Suarez. I mean, at the number at 10-1, you could definitely talk me into betting it. I'm not running to the window to do it, but yeah, this is probably the toughest group, which is funny because it's not all of the best drivers, and maybe that's what makes it harder. But yeah, I don't hate Suarez at 10-1, and maybe you bet Suarez at 10-1 and pick your poison with anybody else. If you're an SVG fan at 5-1, like he should be Dillon and Suarez. So Ross or Kyle, one of them misses the playoffs and one just doesn't finish the season real strong. Sure, maybe it happens.
Yeah. For reference to Chastain, 2nd, 9th, 19th. So, but again, Price is driving this train. Like I want to be able to root for a Daniel Suarez 10-1 to beat all these guys at the end of the day. So.
Well, and like 9th and 19th doesn't instill a lot of a lot of confidence at plus 145. Whereas, Suarez has 2 similar finishes and he's almost 8 times the price, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Consistency, my friend. Consistency. All right. Group C this is a huge group. Ryan Preece, 2-1. Daniel Suarez, plus 275. Michael McDowell, 5-1. Austin Dillon, 5-1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., plus 650, as well as AJ Allmendinger, plus 650. Cody just put me down for AJ Allmendinger, plus 650. I'm going home.
Well, the fact that they put Daniel Suarez at plus 275 in this group when he's 10-1 in the other group shows you how they feel about Busch, Chastain, and SVG. So take that for what it's worth. This is another one. Boy, yeah, I like AJ Allmendinger at 652. Look, go back throughout the offseason. We've painted the picture for AJ to make the Final Four, which it's because of the number. Again, you have to take these things because of the number, right? That's likely not going to happen. Who makes the playoffs here? I guess, again, you're looking at all former winners in the Cup Series other than Ryan Preece. He's not won in the Cup Series yet, and he's the favorite in this group, shockingly enough. But he's also the best team, right? I mean, you look at these teams, and you could maybe make somewhat of a case for Trackhouse with Suarez, but RFK is a pretty top-tier team. That's why Preece is at the top. I would not bet Preece at that number, though, as much as I'm in on RFK. Suarez at plus 275. Like, I hesitated to take him at 10-1 in another group. I don't feel that much better here. McDowell, he's making the transition over to Spire. Where are they at? How does that program kind of continue? That's the 71 car, which we didn't see a lot of success early with Zane Smith, but really clicked at the end of the year. McDowell's a veteran guy. He should have a good season, right? He's capable of winning. He's won now on a road course and a super speedway. Dillon, again, can win just about anywhere, Rod. It's as weird as it is. He really can. Stenhouse is the guy I'm kind of out on here. Sure, he'll snag a Daytona 500 win here and there. He'll snag big victories every once in a while, but only plus 650. Like, he doesn't consistently make it. They've now switched from JTG to Hayek Racing, lost their big partner in Kroger. The question marks going on over there. AJ at plus 650, returning to the Cup Series full time. We haven't always seen it from him lately, but he's still capable of winning road courses, really good at super speedways. He's consistent at other tracks, maybe where he shouldn't be as good, but he still finds himself in contention for top 10s. You sort of like that. So say none of these guys make the playoffs, who's just going to have the most consistent season? I could really make a case for AJ at plus 650. I think he's the guy that I like here. I mean, just looking at this group, is there anybody that you're like, oh, they're going to make the playoffs? You could make that argument, I guess, for Suarez because we just talked about it.
So
but
here's
it
where
only
I'm
plus
at.
275. That's where.
Yeah. And here's where I'm at. Listen, this is where this group is honestly pick who you're going to cheer for, because there's nobody in here that you are going to say has a clear advantage over the other. Because if you look at their standings from last year, I mean, look, it was Ricky Stenhouse in 25. I'm sorry, Michael McDowell in 23rd that won this particular group, because Ricky Stenhouse ended up being in 25th. Austin Dillon ended up being in 32nd, obviously. Well, Daniel Suarez won this one. I'm sorry. But because he finished higher than the rest. But it's not like they were all clear and present. And I know that Daniel Suarez, I said 10th and 12th. He's going to be plus 275. That's fine. I'll take him 10-1 to beat everybody else in that other group. I'll take AJ Allmendinger coming back to a team that he's comfortable with, getting a couple of road course wins over the season, getting his confidence back to beat all the rest of these guys, because this is going to be a battle for 3 of the 5 of these. 3 of the 6 of these from 20th down, right? He's got to beat Suarez pretty much in this group, does AJ. And I think it's just AJ versus Daniel. And if that's the case, this year I'm taking AJ at plus 650.
Yeah. And again, at the number being the longest odds, we're tied with Stenhouse. I think that he's the way to go here in this one too.
I agree. All right. That's enough of Group C. How about Group B? This one's another head scratcher because it has.
You know, this one they did well. They almost figured it out. Everybody in this group except for one guy has a B to start either their first or last name.
Oh, look at that. Oh, hold on. I didn't even look at that far. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Here it is. Group B. Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman. Yeah, Ross, one of these things is not like the other. All right, Briscoe plus 260, Busch plus 340, Chastain plus 400, Brad Keselowski plus 450, Chris Buescher 5-1, Alex Bowman plus 550.
Take the 2 RFK guys next round. Thank you very much.
Please. Boop. Look, really though, I mean, is it really just a Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher day?
No, this is another tough group. So you toss a Gibbs guy in here, sort of interesting, right? Briscoe, there is questions. He was obviously the longer shot in the Gibbs group. You're matching up with former Gibbs guy in Busch. Now you got Chastain in here. The 2 RFK guys look at 450 and 5-1. You know me, Rod. I like that a lot. Bowman kind of hanging out here again at the bottom. Look, he's going to have a consistent season, but is there any more than consistent from him? Probably not. Whereas I think that, TK.
Boom.
Oh, boom. He figured it out. His beer sponsor is the B, maybe. Of course, he is the Busch guy. So beer sucks, but shout out to them for sponsoring him. Yeah, like, again, you can make a case for really all of these guys. Bowman just doesn't have a lot of upside. It's in there. It could happen. Sure, maybe. But like, you look at all these guys, which one of these guys can you not see hoisting the championship trophy the most? It's got to be Alex Bowman, right? Like, we've seen Busch win it. Chastain's been close. Brad's won it. You could see Buescher do it. Briscoe's been close. I just can't see Alex Bowman doing it. So he's kind of the guy I rule out. Otherwise, like, I like all of these guys this season, and I think they're all going to have good years. So, you know, I give me Brad Keselowski at plus 450.
You are so RFK blind this year.
I got an RFK tattoo yesterday while I was listening to that podcast, Rod.
I'll bet you did. That's fine. Hey, listen, my cousin gives fantastic. So let's go over here and get you a Chris Buescher and a Ryan Preece one as well. He'll make it all nice and dandy for you. Look, Alex Bowman, 9th place finish last year, finished better than both of these. Brad Keselowski finished in 12th. Christopher Buescher finished in 17th. So my whole thing is this. If I'm going to take one,
he doesn't have the upside though. That's the thing. I'm going for upside, Rod.
Well, I understand upside, but I mean,
Alex Bowman's going to be in the top 10. Like, we know that he's going to be at the top 10 at the end of the day. You're guaranteed that. Not guaranteed, but that's like the most likely scenario. But he's not going to be in the Final Four. All these other guys could be in the Final Four.
This is true. 9th, 20th, 16th, 14th, 6th, 12th, 16th, the finishes of note for Alex Bowman going back to about 2018. So, look, I'm still good on Alex Bowman. I'll take him a plus 550 for this one because I really think that the number's right and the potential for him to at least finish in the top 10 is there. Yes, Cody, all these guys can do it, but I don't know. I'm still thinking that your
maybe
RFK love is just carrying you too far, Mike.
It could be blinding me. Maybe Briscoe doesn't have a first good season in the 19, right? That's not out of the question. Busch and Chastain, they did miss the playoffs last year. Maybe that continues. That's got all those guys out of the way now. Maybe RFK just is sort of pedestrian like they were last year. Alex Bowman is going to be there. So that's the case you got for Bowman. You just need 5 other guys to all have bad luck. And maybe, they did last year, so maybe they do it again.
Indeed. All right. If Group A were a boxing class, this would be the heavyweight division because it's got basically everybody in there that you would expect to be in the championship conversation, including Kyle Larson at plus 310, Christopher Bell at plus 320, Ryan Blaney plus 420, William Byron plus 420, the first mention of Tyler Reddick on the show at 5-1, and obviously the first and only mention of Joey Logano, odd year Joey Logano at 5-1.
Hey, Rod. It is January 21st. What year is it?
2025, my friend.
Okay, we'll scratch Joey Logano off. So of the rest of these 5 guys, again, dude, pick your poison. Who do you think is going to win the championship? This is like the true. Who do you think is going to win the championship? Is it Larson? Is it Bell? Is it Blaney? Is it Byron? Is it Reddick? Which one of these guys do you think could win the championship? Now, yes, we're going to bet on other guys because Chase Elliott could come in and steal the title. There's other guys who could come in. Maybe a Kyle Busch comes in and wins it because he gets to Phoenix and finds a way. Briscoe does it in his first year, whatever. But really, who do you think it's going to be at the end of the day? I'm sort of defaulting back to Blaney plus 420. We had that conversation about him earlier. It's hard not to take him again here because he's probably going to be there. Reddick, you know how much I love him. 5-1. I don't know.
It's funny because I was waiting for the rest of that, but you were like,
that was it. You can make a really strong case for everybody but Joey Logano. And the Joey Logano thing,
okay,
saying it's January 25 and we still hate Logano. It's not that we hate him, but he doesn't do good in even or in odd years, and it's an odd year. We're not getting away from the trend because that's how Rod picked him to be the champion before the season last year, was going with the trend. The trends have held pretty fucking strong. Joey's made it every single time it's been an even year, not made it any time it's been an odd year. We're going to stick to it. But that being said, he's the hardest guy in the garage to figure out. So you figure him out, Rod, because I can't do it.
Joey does not listen to this show. But let's just get that straight. Joey is not one of the thousands of listeners to this show. But I will say that if he does, maybe he listens to this and goes, hell no, I can win an odd year. You guys are all full of it. So I'm going to come back and win an odd year.
You have to wonder when he starts to buy into it too. And he's like, it's not our year, guys. That's fine. Whatever.
That's fine. I get it. I understand. It's 2025.
We'll get him next year. Don't worry about it, guys.
2026, we're good, guys. I'm not even worried. Look, I'm still living off of 2024 money. Don't got to worry about this at all. So, but look, we are immediately just because trends. I know that we like to say we bet with our gut or we go with our gut a lot, but when you look at numbers like that, your gut just goes, oh yeah, that's true. So we're out of it on that one. But honestly, I love all of the numbers on here because all these numbers are all good numbers.
Let's be honest with Logano. He's a 3-time champion and he's won 2 of the last 3. And so again, when you say that, yes, it's like, wow, this is incredible. He's obviously really good, but putting him in a group with these 5 other guys on a week-to-week basis, I would bet if you had to tell me right now, you pick head-to-head for each of these drivers, all 5 of these guys against Joey Logano, every single race for the season, you're going to place a bet on all of it right now. I would bet every single one of them on these other guys over Joey Logano, except maybe not Larson on the super speedways. But because you just don't know what you're going to get out of Logano, and the rest of the guys are good every single week. It's so strange.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest groups. And listen, if you're ballsy enough to bet Group A, then God be with you, because you're going to have a hell of a sweat all season long.
Well, this is a fan one, right? Like, you're a big Kyle Larson fan, just go bet it. Like, that's fine. You can bet this. That's great. If you're a Ryan Blaney fan, go bet it. If you're William Byron, like whoever you're a fan of in this group, even if you're a Joey fan, you can go bet this. Like, there's not really a wrong bet to make in this. And it's so splitting hairs for who's going to put together the season, who's going to make the playoff run when they need to, who's going to be there in the Final Four. How's that one race in Phoenix going to go? At least 2 of these guys, maybe 3, maybe all 4 of these guys come out of this group are going to be in the Final Four. So who's going to finish the best out of these guys at Phoenix? But they also have to get through Talladega in the round of 8 to get there. Like, it really is splitting hairs to as fine as you possibly can for what this bet is.
I'm picking one. I'm picking Blaney. Remember, this is the calendar year for Blaney. All of a sudden, I didn't expect it to be, but I am Team Blaney. I'm gonna have to come in my my number 12.
He's the guy you trust the most, I think. Like, we've got to start giving him that respect, and that's probably the guy that I would bet too if I was forced to bet one of these guys.
All right, well, there it is. Ryan Blaney is the man. All right, beautiful stuff. Hey, we made it through the groups, Cody. We did it in just over an hour.
I told Rob before, sorry, so we got to get them all in today. We're running out of room in the off season to talk about all the things we still need to talk about, Rod. Because 1 week from today, we're going to be talking about the Clash of the Bowman Gray. Oh, let's fucking go.
It is so beautiful. And they just popped on us team win totals, which was requested by the Discord, which if you're not in the Discord, by the way, get in there.
Have to talk about because they're available. So we're going to find a way to squeeze it in there somewhere, Rod. But I'm excited.
Maybe we petition for an emergency episode for this particular instance.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe we can.
The bosses may approve one extra episode for this because guess what, guys? The crowd wants it. So we're going to give it to them.
Yeah, I like it. We did see the new Clash format. We sort of touched on it at the top of the show, and we're going to cover it. So next Tuesday, again, assuming all the odds are out appropriately, we will have our betting picks show for the Clash. We'll go a lot more in depth on the entire format, and that really affects how you bet on it too, because all of the betting really is on that main race with 23 drivers at the end of the day. So we'll break it all down and get a lot deeper into that next Tuesday.
Indeed, we will. But that is the end of this particular episode for the day as we pull ever so close to the Clash. And hopefully you got some useful information out of this episode because, again, guys, we beg for it. We tell them, give us more. Well, guess what? They gave us more. So if you guys don't use it, it's going to get lost. And then next year we'll be like, remember back in the days when we had all those groups and all those props that we could pick from in the off season? Wasn't that great? So don't do that. Don't be that person. So yeah, Cody.
Make a bet, save a future, Rod.
Is that a new country song?
That's
Make a bet, save a future.
Anything can be a country song if you try.
Going off the rails. All right, let's let everybody out of this this nonsensical spiral that we're dipping into. Let
also go back to King's question too. One and done pool you can enter all the way up until Daytona 500. So, and I might even give you a couple weeks after. You're just going to be missing points from Daytona, so that might be a bit silly for you to enter then. But yeah, get entered by the Daytona 500, and you will be good.
You will have some fun. So, all right, Cody. Well then, until tomorrow, let everyone know where they can find you out there in the real world.
Yes, Rod. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. A lot of stuff out for sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Arena Football 1, Rod, only 7 weeks away. Diving into that. Done a couple of fun pieces on players, coaches. Go check that out. Those guys, man, they really love the game. And, yeah, really good pieces there. So check those out. They've been a lot of fun to do. And, yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow for more talk about NASCAR and the season almost being here.
Yes, sir. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Think about everything I've got going on, whether it's here, whether it's the back road. Seth, Elliott, and I, we're talking some preseason stuff, and we'll do it again in a couple of weeks, but make sure you check out Seth and Elliott in the meantime. And then there's a special link in there where you can find the Premiership Rugby, and that's a lot of fun too, plus some esports, plus some PWHL. I don't know. If you love weird, crazy sports, you're going to love this as well. So find the link in the bio. We'll see you tomorrow. Got plenty more to talk about here on the show. And until then, everybody, let's go racing and let it ride.
Another piece of